Hi class, this is lesson 32, course 3 on probability. We're going to work on some vocabulary terms here. So some vocabulary that we're going to work on is theoretical probability, and that's found by analyzing the situation. And you're going to want to write down all of this in your notes so you can reference this. And theoretical probability is often called just probability. So when they're asking for a probability of something, they're usually talking about theoretical probability. And to find the probability of an event, we're going to take the number of all favorable outcomes over the number of total possible outcomes that there are. And the other type of probability is experimental probability, and it's found by performing an experiment. We often call that statistics. So the probability of an event in experimental probability is the number of times the event happens divided by the number of trials that were run. The sample space is a list of all possible outcomes. So normally when we find probability, we'll use a chart, a graph, or a list of some sort. And I'm not going to sort through your chart, your graph, or your other list. I need you to list all of the possible outcomes. We'll talk about that and when we do our examples. A chance is the probability written as a percent, and the odds are written as a ratio of favorable outcomes over unfavorable outcomes, and it's often expressed as a colon, such as like this, and it could be written as 3 to 5. So like there were odds that 3 were favorable outcomes, like there were 3 chances to win and 5 chances to not win out of a total of 8 possibilities. So our favorable plus our unfavorable will actually equal our total of outcomes that were available. And the complement of event is the set of outcomes that are not included in the event. So we will talk about all of these in this lesson. So what is the probability of flipping a coin 2 times and getting at least 1 tail? So first off, the probability of flipping 1 coin, so if I flip it 1 time, I can either get true or false. Those are my only 2 options I can have. So then if I'm flipping it again, I can either have true or false again. So true or false. And then if I have a true and a false. And the reason I have it twice is because maybe the first time I flipped it was true, and then I have the option of true or false. And if I flipped a false, I flipped it again, I'd have the option of true or false. So that's how I would do that. So I want to list my outcomes. So my outcomes, my first outcome would be true, true. If we look, we'll go true, true. My next outcome would be false, or true, false. So those would be both of those for true. My next one would be false, true. And my last one would be false, false. So when I look at this, this asks me, what is the probability of flipping a coin 2 times and getting at least 1 tail? So I need the probability of at least 1 tail. And we always know that the bottom is going to be our total number of outcomes. So I know my total number of outcomes is 4, because that's how many I had. And how many of them have at least 1 true? So I have a true here, a true here, and a true here. So that's going to give me 3 of my 4 are going to be at least a tail. And if we remember, if I go back, we have our thing at the bottom, complement of the event, which is the set of outcomes that are not included in the event. And so we're going to talk about that. So our complement is going to be our probability of there being no tails, because that's not included in our other one. So I know that I have 4 outcomes and there's only one left that does not, so that's going to be 1. And what I know about these two values is that the original plus the complement is always going to equal 1. It'll always equal 1. So hopefully that'll help you being able to determine our probability. So let's do another example. So when we roll a dice, what is the probability that we will roll higher than a 4? Well, first off, we have to determine what's the probability of rolling a dice? So what are my outcomes can I have? So I know that I have probability rolling 1 dice. I have numbers 1 through 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know I have 6 outcomes. And I need to know what the probability of rolling higher than a 4. So I can't include 4. So I need to choose my numbers bigger than 4. And my numbers bigger than 4 are 5 and 6. So I know I have 2 outcomes that are going to be bigger. So I'm going to put 2 over 6 because 6 is my total number of probability. And here I can reduce that to 1/3. So I always want to reduce, just like always. So my probability of rolling higher than a 4, I have 1 out of 3 chances of rolling a 4. Higher than a 4. So those are pretty good chances. So before we've done what was the probability of flipping a coin 3 times, or 2 times, this time we're going to do what was the probability of flipping a coin 3 times. So our first roll, I have true and false. The second time, maybe, I have true and false, and true and false. And the third time, I have each of these trues, I have a true and a false. And here, I have a true and a false. And here I have a true and a false. And here I have a true and a false. So I have to list my outcomes. So all of my outcomes, I have to list them all. So my first outcome, I have true, true, true. True, true, true. My next one, I have true, true, false. So I want true, 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 false. This time I'm going to go true, false, true. True, false, true. True, false, false. And those are the ones for all for true. So my next one I'm going to start with false. So false, true, true, false, true, false, 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 true, and false, false, false. And that's what the probability of flipping a coin 3 times. So I just have to list my outcomes, and that's all I have to do if it asks what's the probability. I need to be able to list those outcomes. And if I want to make sure, I just want to make sure that I name or tell me how many I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 different outcomes. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask in class. Otherwise, I will see you in